the thing you ever think about, like, if you saw a UFO in real life, like, would you try to pull your phone out and try to record it, or would you just look at the UFO and try to observe it?
I think it would be a combination of both. At first, I would be so awestricken. If there's 10 people and I'm one of those 10 people, out of the 6 that pull their phones out immediately, I'm probably going to be one of the people that pulls it out like too late. They've already like beamed somebody up and they're flying away, and I just get the tail lights.
Yeah, that would be me. Well, it probably happens so fast, and that's probably why you hear those stories of people saying they saw UFOs, and it's like, oh, well, why didn't you film it? It's like, you don't understand, it was a UFO.
Yeah, exactly. I'm taking this in.
Mike, you straight from the south side. Mike, I'm just so happy to be here right now. Real Rap Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back. Another episode of Real Rap Podcast. The rap stands for regular ass people. I am here with musician and entertainer extraordinaire, Ruse. If you wouldn't mind saying hi to the listening viewers.
Hello, listening viewers. This is Ruse. Was that last 20 minutes? Is that part of the podcast, or
we're just talking? The cameras happen to be playing, but we're just talking. We'd have this conversation outside of a damn Burger King. The cameras are just on. Don't pay attention to them. You've done this before.
Well, no, it was it was the quickness of the pivot. I was impressed by how smoothly you did it, but it almost felt like one of those things where like that was all an intro just for me, and now we're really starting. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, you don't just go on the court and start dunking and playing the game. You warm up first, right?
Well, I always have like, my rule is like, I used to be autistic with it. I had to do it the same way every single time. 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to episode so-and-so of Ruse Radio. Today, we have a very special guest. Our special guest is, and I do that, I do it whenever I don't have, like whenever there's a pause in the conversation and it's like, oh, now I have to do an intro, that's when I bring it in.
Sure.
But it's funny because like, just a week ago, I was doing a podcast with a hypnotist, Chris Jones, and he had watched a couple of the episodes beforehand. I didn't do it to him. I didn't give him the intro. And then like 10 minutes in, he's like, oh man, I was kind of expecting a 3, 2, 1, da-da-da-da. I'm like, I'll give it to you, man. So it's funny that you just busted out the intro on me.
No, what I've learned, I've been doing the podcast for a little bit, and what I learned early is that when you do the 3, 2, for me anyway, my experience is when you do the 3, 2, 1, all right, podcast time, ladies and gentlemen, I am, and this is, and we are, people stop being themselves.
The energy shifts, yeah.
And they start playing themselves like it's a movie. And it's like, no, this is really how I talk and interact with people. I'm curious. I love talking to people, new people I'm familiar with, and just, hashing out whatever's going on. But I did want to get back to what we was talking about earlier. And you had made the mention of dogs will look at you like you're God. And I wanted to circle back to the ego of human beings because why do dogs look at us like we're God? Because human beings' ego made us turn wolves into little bite-sized, lovable things that are going to lick us in the face.
Hold on. You don't think the wolves wanted that at all?
Let's go out to the wolf farm.
Okay, well, first of all, there's another conversation I've had on my podcast a couple times. Dogs versus cats comes up quite a bit, honestly.
Cats all day.
But cats, I must say, I really feel like if any animal like took advantage of humans and they wanted it, like they evolved, and they took advantage of the humans and they like moved into our shelter because they knew that would be a good deal. I think the cats did that.
Of course.
You might be onto something. I mean, like it might be the exact opposite with dogs, because dogs probably were pretty good off on their own. I mean, I never really thought about it that way.
They run in packs.
Yeah, they had a good deal.
They have a leader. They don't look at you as God. They look at you as the alpha.
Yeah.
And depending on the dog that you have, and it's still violence. It's still based on violence.
Yeah.
It's just the dog decides you're the alpha. I'm not going to challenge you, depending on what kind of dog you have, depending on how human beings bred them. But as far as the cats versus dogs, cats all day. Not only are they the winners in nature.
Okay.
They're also the winners in my heart. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. I used to go back and forth on this, but I'm just a dog guy now. I mean,
I'm not mad at it, but I'm also allergic to dogs. Like, legitimately break out in hives, eyes dry, watery.
You're biased.
Yeah, but you know what's crazy is I wasn't born allergic to dogs. I turned allergic when I was 21. Like literally the year of 21. One day I was at the homeboy's house. He had a dog, and I was messing with him. And the next thing I know, like wherever the dog licked me, just red and little like bumps. My eyes started getting irritated, and ever since then, I can't rock with dogs like that.
Oh no, dude, that's not good. That's a shame actually, because I always think about that. How do you find out about an allergy? And when do you find out about an allergy?
At least it wasn't peanuts or yogurt or something like that.
You didn't die.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't eat yogurt, but you know.
I mean, people do. There's so many things. There's things I haven't eaten, and I'm probably such an idiot. I would have the allergic reaction and just think I got sick, and I would do it like 10 times. That's why I think about it, because I'm like, you don't know until you know.
Yeah, no, yeah, and then it's horrible.
Right? I'd be like, why is my stomach so upset again?
I wanted to ask you, because you do music as well, yeah?
Yeah, the Real Rap podcast.
Yeah, well, the rap is an acronym. Stands for regular ass people.
There it is.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, I was wondering about that.
But you do music, because I want to say one of the first times that I saw you and I noticed you, we were at an open mic, and then for the most part everybody was doing comedy, and I think you closed it out doing your song. And I'm envious of musicians, because I think every male comic anyway, wanted to be a musician. You just don't have the thing that it takes. And but I wanted to ask you, who do you think in the year 2025, who's more influential on the youth? Musicians / rappers, podcasters / social media people?
Oh, podcast people, social media people, 100%. 100%. I mean, like, it's kind of why it's not why I do what I do, but I just already know that it makes more sense to do that. Like, it makes more sense for me to be familiar with people in more of a capacity than just a musician,
Sure.
Because we are in like a world where I think of it as an opportunity. Like, I think there's so many comedians, there's so many entertainers who I've found through. It's hard to remember like what it is if you ever think to like what's the exact thing where you found so and so. And I think now we're in this world where anybody can go and put out anything, and maybe like it's not as simple as just putting something out overnight and getting successful. But I think there's so much more opportunity, and every time you do anything, every time you produce anything at all, it's another opportunity for someone to see it and someone to find you, right? And I think that musicians don't like doing that. I think comedians don't even really like doing that, but I at least think that comedians are more of a grind culture type of people, to where, they can get in that type of, they can adhere to that to more of an extent than a musician. Like a musician, there's so many musicians where, like, I used to do the podcast with mainly musicians, and then I moved here, and now it's mostly comedians. And so I can feel like I can observe like a major difference, and it's that comedians want to riff and they want to think about things and they want to do things and they want to explore, whereas musicians, I think, are a little bit more conceptual and they want to like pace things out and make them perfect. And I think that I've always thought more in the comedian kind of way anyways, as a musician, where it's like I just want to put out as much stuff as possible and instead of a joke, write a new song every like couple days.
Well, yeah.
Like in my mind, that's the same exact thing.
Musicians' art can exist in perpetuity.
Yes, right, and there's a big difference.
The expiration date is actually limitless, and for a comedian, ours is single serving. You can't perform in front of the same crowd twice with the same material. You can, but good luck to your career.
Yeah.
But I mean, that being said, I don't know. Like I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, so I'm thinking about like some of the top social media folks, the young cats that are really burning up the game right now. Take Kai Cenat and all his people, right? Now he's a social media dude. He's got all the followers and a lot of influence. And what is he? I've seen, I don't know how many times that he makes music.
Of course.
Kevin Hart makes music. All the people in their little circle, and they're doing it, as a goof. Are they trying to take it serious? Yes and no. Like they're trying to take it serious the same way Weird Al used to take it serious. Like he's goofing, but he wants to move units.
Well, did you see the Rizzler made a song? The Rizzler?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, it's the Rizzler and AJ and Big Justice. They're these big TikTok people. I'm surprised.
Mark you, I am your age ×2 + 10.
No, I mean, it's just so crazy like how famous these people actually are. Like if once you look them up, you'll be pretty surprised because it's not like they're like minor celebrities. They're like famous now.
Sure.
They've turned up at a bunch of different events, and it's always like a thing when they pop up. But they made a song, and it's exactly what you're saying. I don't know how much that counts. At a certain point, I don't know how much it counts because they're trying to sell things, but like Logan Paul made music at a certain point. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's all a matter of terms at that point. Like if you want to call something a musician or not, because I wouldn't call that a musician. I would call that someone else who's doing music as another thing. Like it's not their priority. They're not doing music because they feel like that's their calling.
Yeah.
It'd be nice if that was what it was, but that's usually never the case when a celebrity decides to make music.
You know.
Mark Wahlberg, he made music first.
I think the theme of this show has to be ego, and I'm not in no way being negative because I definitely have an ego.
We all do.
We all do, of course. But because I sympathize with what you were saying just now because I imagine you see yourself as a musician.
Oh yes,
it's your passion.
Yes,
it's what gets you out of bed, and all that. And so when you see somebody that's a poser coming in, it's like, oh, you made your bread doing TikToks, and now you want to be a musician.
Yeah.
Like I've definitely had that green streak go through me. Where I see, there's a social media person, now all of a sudden they're a comedian.
Right.
Or there's a ex-movie star, now all of a sudden they're doing comedy. I'm like, you're not a comedian. What are you doing? But these days, I think the model, especially for the younger folks, is there is no one thing anymore.
No.
You're not just a musician. You're not just an actor. You're not just you have to be everything at once. If you're not being everything at once, right? I'll go back to Kai Cenat or I Show Speed. I Show Speed, he dabbles in athletics, right? Mm-hmm. He dabbles in the music culture, and he streams constantly. Otherwise, he's just touring around the world, and everybody that watches him lives vicariously through his exploits. But he's not just doing one thing. He's not just sitting there and...
They're all fighting now. That's the other thing. They all want to go do boxing.
Yeah, because that's what happens when you're in the WWF. You need storylines and drama. Of course they're fighting. Just like the government and politicians are fighting. You think they're not
they're having boxing matches. Like I'm talking about the whole YouTuber boxing thing, and it's just like it's weird because I don't know how much I like that. Everything is kind of everything at a certain point. Yeah. Like that's what's happening with boxing, right? Yeah. People who loved boxing, oh well, why are we having what was it? Logan Paul versus Tyson? Well, that was what? No, that was the big one. But before that, it was Logan Paul versus Mayweather. Is that what it was?
Sure.
Yeah, it's always something. And it just kind of discredits a lot of the actual thing. I think you're right. I think it's because I look at things through a certain standard. I think that standard is what makes what I do good. So it is like through a certain amount of ego. But I think that that's just because there's a truth to the world that most things aren't going to be that good. So you do kind of have to have a certain standard if you want things to be better. And I don't know how it gets better because if that's the case, if everybody's just kind of doing everything, I think when you're a kid, that it's good that that's a thing, but it also creates this confusion because now you have these kids who you ask them, what do you want? Like, what is success to you? What do you want out of your life? And they're like, I want to have followers. I want to have 1 million followers. Yeah. That's what they'll tell you. What do you want to have followers for? I don't know. I want to have followers, though. Yeah. They want to have followers, but they don't know what they want them for.
I didn't know why I wanted to have my pants backwards in 1994 outside of Chris Cross was doing it. To go back to boxing, though, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell
but
you.
But you like that Chris Cross was doing it. You weren't just trying to get followers. You thought Chris Cross was cool. You had like a role model. There was at least a thing happening.
I did want followers. I just didn't want internet followers because it wasn't around then. I wanted people at school to think I was cool because I had a Colorado Rockies jersey on backwards with size 44 pants on, even though I was 109 pounds. But to go back to the boxing thing, right? Jake Paul.
Yeah.
He's saving boxing, which is sacrilegious for me to say.
Wow.
But it's actually true because the reason is, what was the last boxing match you were excited to watch that didn't include him? And that's because it's not the actual boxing. Right. If you're a fan of martial arts or boxing or fighting and combat sports, I am, and I watch a lot of it. no-name people. I like ground matches. I've trained before. I know what's going on. I can follow what's happening when they go to ground. Everybody was like, this is boring. I see what's happening, and I'm like, oh, this is exciting, right?
Yeah.
But it's dull right now because there's no personalities. Before there was Jake Paul doing whatever. Before Conor, there was Muhammad Ali.
Right.
He was rhyming. He was spitting bars.
Oh, Muhammad Ali's a prophet.
He was spitting
That guy's an
bars.
actual poet. Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather, he was spitting bars.
Yeah.
Joe Frazier, he was mean, but he was talking. Old WWF, Ric Flair.
Yeah.
Why do you think they making rap songs about him in the last 5 years?
Ric
Because he
Flair
had
drip.
a personality.
Yeah.
Word. So that kind of stuff is boring now because the personalities aren't there. It's still entertainment. We want to be entertained, and these people like the Jake Paul, he's entertaining.
No,
and you watch because you want to see him lose.
Now that I 100%. Well, I think that is what's lost from mostly everything. Like, I think that it's that thing where everything's so oversaturated. It's that thing I just said where 90% of everything's mediocre. Like, I think that those things that are so real, and I think comedy is one of those things you can really observe it. Like, who's the Mount Rushmore of comedy? It's the realest comics. It's the people who felt the most raw. That's just what it is. When you go to a comedy show, those are the people that stick out to you, where you feel like, oh, damn. Like, I feel like at a certain point you don't even remember the thing. You don't remember the jokes, you don't remember the songs, you kind of just remember the person and what they represented. And that's like a reality that was communicated
Good
to you.
music does that to me.
Yes.
Where I can listen to a song 1,000 times and I'm like, I don't even know the words to that song.
Yeah.
It puts me in a trance when I hear it, and I can just put it on repeat and my mind goes to a different place.
And I think someone like him does that, and people don't like that. They don't like to admit it, but someone like him does that. I mean, he's a cult of personality in this really weird way. I mean, his podcast, it's so interesting that you said Jake Paul, right? Are we talking about Logan Paul? Which one are we talking? Which Paul are we talking about?
The one
right
that
now?
boxes.
Okay, because I mix them up. I mean, like both of them, truly, both of them had this weird story. Because Logan being in WWE now and playing a heel, it's such a weird reflection of reality. Him being in this fictional setting, playing a villain when he's looked at as a villain in the real world.
Yeah. But villains are what sell. Humans.
Yes.
We need the drama. You can't have light without the dark.
Right.
The only reason, look, Marvel right now is in shambles, but they have really good characters.
Yeah.
But DC should change its name to Joker, Batman, and Friends. DC is garbage. And the only reason anybody opens their eyes, nobody wants to see Red Cape Jesus Christ flying around arbitrarily. Impossible to kill this fucking guy, right? So who sells all their comics? Who do they make a new movie every 3 years and it pops? Batman, because he's a regular ass fucking dude.
Yep.
He's rich and then acts like he doesn't want to. He's actually an outlaw. He is an outlaw because everything he's doing is illegal.
He's a vigilante justice.
He's vigilante justice, and he has the best bad guy ever created.
Quite a cast of bad guys. I mean, I would say Spider-Man to close.
Dr. Octopus, get out of here. He's not touching. Venom is a good one, except those movies.
Well, I was thinking if we're like talking all of them, if we're just talking like
is Rogue's Gallery?
Yeah, if I'm gonna include all the bad guys, I feel like the Batman lineup versus the Spider-Man lineup, pretty close. But if we're talking like top bad guy, okay, then no, it's definitely Batman because the Joker, dude, the Joker's the guy. Yeah, the Joker. Then it's one of those things too where. Again, it's hard to place yourself where you are now. Nobody remembers the pre-Avengers, pre-Iron Man, Spider-Man world. It wasn't like this. It used to be like these guys weren't cool. The Joker used to be some silly thing that was in a few Batman movies and like I think Heath Ledger, before Heath Ledger's Joker. I think that's really where it all twisted it up because, Jack Nicholson was the number one Joker. He was the guy. He had a couple other ones, but Jack Nicholson was like the big role. Then
he was the first one that made it. Tim Burton was the first one to make Batman cool, darker. Yeah. And then and
then The Dark Knight just takes that to another level.
Then it took it to Christopher Nolan is a monster. But
it changed movies. It changed the whole movie industry.
A lot of people, and it sounds like you might be one of them. A lot of people kind of gloss over where
Batman Begins.
No. So there was the old the one I came up on, the original Batman that had like Burgess Meredith playing Penguin, and it had
Are you talking about the TV show?
Yeah, the old school TV show. That was goofy. Then Tim Burton came and said, let me make this dark and all that. But Tim Burton's kind of goofy too. But they were great movies. I love them. They're part of my childhood.
Danny DeVito, Michelle Pfeiffer, forget about it. Then what set the tone for the superhero movies now was Blade. See, I haven't seen it since I was 4. So
it was the first one that said, all right, so we're gonna make it dark and sensational, but we're also gonna ground it and make it real.
Yeah.
And that was the first one. You can watch it from there. And then right after Blade came out, they started making like the Hulk and the other ones. And then not too long after that, the Christopher Nolan series came out. But Blade, bless his heart, and whoever the director was the first one to bridge the gap to this new Jason Bourne kind of action theme where things are more grounded, because it used to be Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then Jason Bourne came out and said, nah homie, a grenade doesn't blow up a city block and send people flying. You know what I mean? And if you're going to punch somebody, they're not going to fly across the room, Sylvester Stallone. Jason Bourne came and said, all right, let me pick up this book. I'm going to smack you in the face with it. I'm going to open it. I'm going to read page 13. Then I'm going to close it. Then I'm going to hit you on the other side of your cheek with it. And you know what I mean? He did that, and it changed the dynamic of movies. Blade did that for the Marvel movies. We're like, oh, we can actually make it sensational and grounded at the same time.
Yeah. But the characters, it being such strong characters in that, I feel like where they dropped the ball is that the whole thing is so narrative driven, and they decided it's going to be this big giant narrative that's all going to culminate, and then they pulled it off, which is crazy.
Yeah.
The fact that they actually pulled that off, I mean, again, if you weren't experiencing those movies while they came out, it's hard to fully understand what that even represents, because it was kind of just a shift in how movies could be.
Try explaining to your kids the Drake Kendrick beef later. They're gonna look at you the same way you look at your folks, and they say, you don't understand, Elvis was big. You're gonna be like, exactly. I could care less.
Yeah. I lose my train of thought. What was I saying?
You were talking about how those movies, trying to explain those movies.
Oh, well, just the narrative, and the fact that the narrative kind of loses itself at a certain point, because after Avengers, you can tell there was this weird thing that happened where now they lost a couple of the big actors. They're going to have to carry it forward through a couple phases, and I have to imagine you had some studio interference, some of that good old, hey, you guys could, rather than making these movies, you could make these shows and stretch it from 1 hour to 10 hours. And then that's kind of how WandaVision was made, along with a bunch of other those shows that could, I think Loki, like it could have been a movie, but they make it a show and they stretch the whole plot out. So, and like, if you look at the plot, you can literally pinpoint, like, okay, so if this was a movie, all you need is episode 1, 2, and 9, and then boom, you have the whole movie, because that's kind of how they make these shows. Yeah. It's like a formula, and then you start to realize, oh, that's what this is now. It's kind of this machine that's just pumping out all this stuff. And also, when they have these big movies, it's a big event now. We're all going to go see Doctor Strange. It's the next big one, because Doctor Strange and Spider-Man, those were like the two big ones we had. And so you're supposed to go see Doctor Strange. Well, you kind of had to see WandaVision if you want to understand Doctor Strange, because that's the way they just treat the plot. And if you didn't see and that's like WandaVision's a whole 10-hour experience. And also, even if you saw WandaVision, it doesn't even really make sense, because the way they produce these shows, they produce them at the same time. So there's these weird like continuity errors where if you watched the WandaVision show and now you're watching this movie, which the movie takes place after, she's like playing this villain, and she's evil, and she wants to get her kids back at all costs, and she's willing to kill all these people to do it. But it's like, if you just watch that show, she was the main character, the protagonist for all these episodes. You're supposed to be with her, and she was cool. She wasn't killing everybody.
Yeah.
So what happened? And you get this weird whiplash where nothing really makes any sense anymore, and that's been the MO ever since Avengers. Like, I feel like that's just been what Marvel's been doing, where like nothing really lines up. Everything's kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. I'm really interested to see what Avengers looks like, because they did the big naughty thing they shouldn't have done. They brought back Robert Downey Jr. Yeah. And that's a bold move. So let's see how that goes. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. notoriously said, I won't come back unless they have some crazy good idea. But he also, maybe he just loves Marvel and he was feeling a little sentimental. I like the Marvel, I love what Marvel represents because I love storytelling. I love good writing, and I love what they did with those Avengers movies. I really think that it's the first time you ever really saw a cinematic thing where all these dots are connecting in these really interesting ways, and it's kind of meta, like, oh, this movie and this movie and this movie all mash up into this movie, and it's rewarding to have seen all the movies. They kind of burnt that whole thing out, but that was such a cool concept when they were doing it, and it's kind of unheard of, and it's very similar to comic book storytelling. I mean, that's what you do in a comic. It's all these other comics, and now they're all in this one big comic.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying. At the same time, these stories that you're talking about were written by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and others.
Well, and even those aren't
50s
original.
And the 60s. No, there's only 5 stories in all of mankind. Boy Meets Girl, Monster in the House, etc., etc., etc. There's 5 stories. Count them, and you could just rehash them.
What's the oldest story of all time? The Mesopotamians. What's the oldest myth of all time? I forget the name of it.
The Bible?
No, it's before the Bible. It'll come to me before the end of this podcast.
To get back to it, I mean the stories. So. Yeah, how is Marvel, Sony, whatever corporation is the umbrella for all that stuff? How are they any different than either one of us, right? I'm a brand. I'm a comedian. I'm a podcaster.
Yeah.
I'm an entertainer. I'm trying to put this out. Now, I'm gonna clip this up. I'm gonna send it out to you. We say something interesting that vibes with the crowd, and I put it out there. Boom, we go to the moon.
Yeah.
Call it 3 million hits. Oh shit, we're famous, right?
Yeah.
Now, between the both of us, we're gonna overanalyze that clip. What did I say? How did I look? Why is this popping? Why is it connecting? What were we talking about? What was our cadence? What were we got? And now you have a choice to make. You're gonna make a song one day, and I promise you, it's gonna go ridiculous. It's gonna explode, right? And you're gonna have the same dilemma. Shit, I was talking about Zans and homework. Now you have to overcome. Are you gonna lean into more Zans and homework material on your next song, or are you gonna go, I'm better than talking about Zans and homework. I'm Ruse, goddammit. I could talk about lint in between my toes and make it pop. And then you do 3 songs about lint in your toes and your skateboard, and whoop.
Well, you know what I say though is, because I always say, like, I think we're in a society where you're rewarded for doing the opposite, where you're rewarded for doing the same thing that did work. So that's why you see these people who kind of become this like repeat of themselves. They'll do one video that pops off, and then they do the same video 30 times in a row because that's the one thing they think they're good for now.
It's called a niche.
Well, yeah, but I think like that's the opposite of being creative, in the sense that like it was creative the first time you did it, but then every other time you're just trying to recreate what you did the first time. And then like you can do that, but you should also be doing new things along the way, just because that's what creativity is. That's what you were doing the first time. And I think that people, it's just like it's that same thing where I know I just have a standard. Like I know if I see a musician make the same song 10 times in a row, to me that's like, oh, well, like, what are we really doing now? Because you're making music and it's connecting with people, but you're not pushing yourself. It's like if you saw a comic do the same set for like 3 years, right?
I saw. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you do. We all do.
What do you mean? There is more people being uncreative and staying in their lane than there are people that step outside of the box.
It's
and
crazy.
That's across. That's the baseline, and it's not a switch. It's a dial. I can't claim that everything I do is constantly new and innovative, and I'm not talking out of school, but you have to fall prey to it too, because we're a human and we come with faults.
Yeah.
But that being said, like I don't necessarily think there's something wrong with somebody staying in their lane. Mary J. Blige, you're too young for it. But Mary J. Blige, when she came out, she had what's the 411? The songs that popped on her album were sad songs, and especially the next album she came out with, and she had like the song on Wait and Exhale, where it was just a sad ass song. Now, Mary J. Blige's career, when she was singing about relationships that didn't work and breakups and toxic situations that she's going through with her romantic life, was through the damn roof.
Yeah.
Then after a while, she started loving herself, probably went to therapy, found herself a relationship that was working. And when was the last time you heard about Mary J. Blige? Now, she's definitely done the Super Bowl with Dr. Dre and them not too long ago. She came out with like No More Drama and I don't want no hateration, no holleration in this dancery. But when Mary J. Blige was doing 8 times multi-platinum,
Yeah.
it was on some sad shit. She was wearing the domestic V sunglasses in the music video.
Yeah.
And you just watch it over and over again and feel sad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, we're addicted to, because at any point in time, I can feel any given emotion. And there's right now, especially with access to multimedia at the touch of your hands, if I want to feel sad, I can go in there and feed myself sad. If I want to feel happy, if I want to feel anxious, if I want to do the gore porn we was talking about earlier,
Yeah.
it is constantly there waiting for me to access it. I don't have to manifest my own feelings. I don't really have to internalize anymore. It takes effort to internalize these days and actually go through your own emotions. I was just talking about it on, I want to say the last podcast we were on, where we were saying, like, how often do you really even turn off your phone? Like, bro, I'm in the bathroom. I haven't taken a number 2 without my phone being there. And I couldn't. It's been years, bro.
Yeah.
It's been years. It's awkward to even have alone time with my own thoughts unless I'm actually concentrating on it. But just sitting around and letting my mind wander, that's hard to do. That's one of the reasons I love being out in green rooms and love doing comedy, because I can actually disconnect from the phone part and be amongst peers and people that I find interesting, and other people that are putting their artistry out there with the same stakes on the line as me, and just shoot the breeze and have a good time and talk. Otherwise, I'm like, oh my God, are those thoughts about real shit that I need to start focusing? Nah. Let me see what TD Jakes is up to right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, I find that I'm so hyper focused on whatever's happening right in front of me that if I'm with people, I mean, it's why I like doing a podcast for one reason, because I have no urge to use my phone if I'm right here next to you.
Yeah.
I know for a fact, if I pick that thing up, I'm no longer with you, and that I don't like that. I don't want to do that. And so I don't even ever really think about it, but I know that's like me, and that's not most people.
Sure.
I'll talk to people, and it's like when you see a group of people at a restaurant, all 4 of them are on their phones. Like, it just could never be me. I mean, if I was really busy and I had to do something, I'd be on my phone. But like, I'm just, in my mind, I'm wherever I am, and it's crazy how it just gets all of us. I feel like it's crazy how it can get any of us, because that's how I am. But as soon as those people are gone, now it's like this form of, I have to discipline myself, and then it becomes this meditative thing where, like, I mean, that's, you have to like literally sort of meditate. You have to find a thing. You have to, maybe it's writing, maybe it's reading, maybe it's going for a walk, but just something. Maybe it's taking a shit without your phone. It could be anything.
Sure.
But it's, meditation is not just meditation. And it's, I think meditation is being in the moment. And I think that the phone is like the ultimate way to get you out of it, right? I mean, and then you have VR, and you have this direction we're heading in, where it's like, hey, let's get you out of the moment even more. Let's put an augmented reality on top of your moment with some glasses. It's like, why is this moment so terrible? Why are we trying to escape it? And so, and I think that it's this very sad thing. I mean, I think it's why you have those studies with teenage girls and how they're more depressed now, because they compare themselves to. We all compare ourselves to everything we see on social media all the time. I mean, this guy got more likes than me. Oh, this guy has all these followers. Everybody must like him.
Everybody does it to the highest levels. Everybody does that. Nobody's safe from that. But I also have to the same way I have to discipline myself to remember that what makes me happy has absolutely nothing to do with what makes you happy. If somebody out there is truly, they're doing these right now, I think I saw, and it's probably a joke headline, like an oniony kind of thing. But then again, there's too many people on this planet for it not to be true at a percentage. Where Buddy like got into it is like getting into a divorce because he's in love with ChatGPT or whatever. There are definitely people out there, men and women for sure, that are in a full blown relationship with this talking. It's not even AI, by the way. It's a large language model. It's just a thing that has access to all the information that we have, and they programmed it. It's a bunch of ones and zeros.
Yeah.
It's a real fancy ones and zeros, Morse code times a billion. But I mean, it's very interactive, right? And if that makes somebody happy, and I sit over here Monday morning quarterbacking with you going, they're not really happy, that's real caring of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, who are we to say, like, if somebody's out there and they really are, if their favorite thing in the world is to go to the gym and sit on the one machine that I need to get my last exercise out so I can go back home, and they're just sitting there on their phone, maybe their home life is dog shit. Maybe they're going through a divorce. Maybe maybe somebody just got hurt in their family. Maybe they just got fired. Maybe they just like being the person at the gym, obnoxious on a machine, looking at their phone. But whatever it is, it's making them happy. And I look at them with, I'm not gonna lie, a little bit of contempt. Like, why are you? This is the house of Jim. How dare you bring, like, how dare I walk in there with the ego like it's called X Sport Night on the outside of it. No, it doesn't say Mike Knight Fitness. This is somebody else's thing, and they're paying their fee, and I walk in and I feel some kind of way that they're on their phone when that might actually genuinely be bringing them happiness, which to say that, if somebody's genuinely happy just being on their phone 23 hours out of the day, they're better off than me. I'm an anxious mess. So who am I to say, like, if somebody's happy? Now, if they're not happy and they're just feeding into their addiction, then I have pity for them. But I ultimately, I don't have, there's too many people to care about.
Yeah. I think of it as a mom love versus dad love type of thing, where it's like dad love is the type of love that is going to discipline you and tell you what you should and shouldn't do. Mom love is going to love you no matter what. Mom love is going to accept you no matter what. And I find myself swaying among this pendulum just all the time. Because like part of me is just going, what the fuck? Like, what is wrong with people? And the other part of me is going, what are you doing, Ruse? Like, why do you even care? Why do you care? Does it actually affect your daily, because I think there are principles of reality. I think there are correct ways to do things. But at the same time, it's like there's a certain point where if you just sit here and obsess about this shit 24/7, you won't do anything. You won't do anything. If you actually cared about everything all the time, just nothing means anything anymore, because now everything means everything, and you're constantly, and sometimes you'll meet people like that where everything is connected to everything and everything, and it's like, and those people are bad. You think you're a wreck. Just talk to one of those guys.
Well, it's that old
gotta let go sometimes.
It's that old trope of when you're driving, the person behind you is on your ass and the person in front of you is driving too slow. So you're never.
Wow.
It's always. It's so easy to do this. It's so easy to just point at other people and call out what's wrong with them. I heard a great little takeaway I got from somebody. I don't remember who it is, but they said there's something about him I don't like about me. And when I heard that and I started observing things, whenever I would give somebody the side eye and be like, ugh, and then I'd stop and I would remember that person said that, and then I'd look at them and I'd be like, is there something about him I don't like about me? And once I started looking at it that way, it was shocking how often it was like, oh shit, he does something that I do that I don't like about myself, but I can't, I'm like the Terminator. I can't terminate myself.
No.
You know what I mean? I'm sent on a mission to terminate Sarah Connor, John Connor, or whatchamacallit, but when it's time for me to blow up myself, I'll just stand on the rope. You drop the thing. I can't do it. So when I see my toxic traits or things I don't like about myself in somebody else, I get to point my finger and say, look, there goes the bad guy.
Right.
And that's just...
Well, that's like projection and the shadow self.
Or
and,
it's... ego.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, Carl Jung, that's his whole idea of the shadow self. That's what he was. That's his whole theory. I mean, that guy was way ahead of his time. It's him and Freud that like got us where we are with the subconscious.
Sure.
And that was so much what he was saying was like, there's this other version of you within you that you project onto the world, and that's the reason that you look at things the way that you look at things. And then you know, the podcast I did with Joe Kilgallen, I saw you had him on here. I named it "Reality as a Mirror" because that's kind of like a topic we touched on. Was exactly that. Where if you look at reality as a mirror, then everything starts to make a lot more sense. Like everything is this reflection of you, and people do project. I mean, people project all the time. It's why a Rorschach test is a Rorschach test. You see what you want to see. You see what's already in you in this weird way. You know.
Yeah.
So. And it's crazy just how much of that really exists, you know, how much your subconscious bleeds out into the real world, you know. I think it's so, that's why the letting go of the ego is so important, because if you hold on to ideas for so long, they become reality. They become everything.
Help me understand, letting go of the ego, but you're in an entertainment profession. Like you're a musician, so letting go of your ego is not really... that's an oxymoron. You can't really do it because not only are you in a competition, you also have to believe in yourself to a higher degree than somebody that's an accountant. I mean, there's factors at play. If you're an athlete and you let go of your ego, you're also letting go of your max contract.
Well, I would counter that with, what if I viewed myself as a vessel? What if I viewed myself as something that others see the greatness in themselves through? And that is what I represent. And in that, it's not about me. And in that, really what I'm seeking to do is to do something through you rather than through me. Because I think if you think of things that way, it's not really egotistical.
Well, they came up with that exact concept that you're talking about in Greece, ancient times. So they would call it the genie because at the time there were so many scholars and painters. This is during like the Renaissance period, which a lot of people think the Renaissance period was like 30 years. It was like hundreds of years, people. Do your research.
You're talking about the Greek Renaissance or
the what's the other Renaissance?
With the Renaissance of the 1500s, right? Because you said the Greek, so I thought you were talking about way back when.
The Renaissance, they compiled a bunch. It's damn near an anthology.
Yeah.
The Renaissance period is a vast period of time.
Yeah.
And it's a bunch of, you know, it spans Michelangelo, all the Ninja Turtles. You know what I mean?
Well, it all starts with
Leonardo
the Greeks, because it starts with translating the Greeks and the Romans.
The Greeks
yeah.
at the time, with Socrates
all the Ninja
and all the other people, what they ended up doing is they had noticed, even back then, way before Kurt Cobain, they noticed that the prolific painters, the prolific scholars of their time were offing themselves when they had like a huge amount of success, and then all of a sudden that slump hit and people wasn't checking for them, or if they were just on some Kurt Cobain stuff, drug usage, whatever was going on at the time, and they were so consumed with their artistry, they pulled, you know, they checked out the game. Well, what they ended up doing to take the pressure off of creatives was they invented a genie. So they said that your creative works, your brain, your mind, what gives you the ability to make this art isn't you, Ruse. It's your genie. So your genie is what's communicating to you that gives us your music, your painting.
So it's like a muse.
Your performance.
It's like the whole concept
muse,
of...
but they called it a genie.
Yeah.
So when things went good, you couldn't take too much credit because it wasn't you. It was your genie. And when things went bad, don't feel too down on yourself. Your genie just sucks. And we ended up losing. I mean, it's a cultural thing, and I don't know how many people practice it. But along that same wave, there's no new ideas, bro. Anything we're talking about right now, we're talking about AI and all that.
Have you heard about Rick Rubin talk about creativity in that way? I think he has a good take on that, where it's like no idea that's ever caught was creative. It was always there waiting to happen. That's why ideas catch in the first place.
Yeah.
It's always something that we pick out of the air, you know. And also, I believe that everything is a remix, right?
Of course. Like Albert Einstein said that. He said, "I'm only able to see so far because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants."
Such an awesome quote.
He was talking about Newton, which that dickhead, sorry Newton, was like, apples fall because do. But Einstein, he had to walk so that Einstein could run.
Absolutely.
And be like, well, here's really what it is. So yeah, everything is a remix, bro.
Yeah.
Because we needed the radio signal to get Bluetooth.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, like, and I think about that all the time because, I mean, that's exactly it with science and all this. It's always one thing that leads to another, that leads to another, leads to another. And it's kind of like that's the kind of, like, because we talked a lot about creativity here, right? And I think that if you are somebody who's trying to, like, let's say you're Mary J. Blige and you're making this album and it is all the same tone. Well, at that point, what is creativity? Because it becomes this weird question, right? What does it mean to be creative? Maybe being creative is doing the exact same thing because that whole concept is creative. You don't have to do anything else. Just keep doing what you're doing because you're doing it so well. Like, it's so hard to tell because everything's a remix. Nothing is actually creative.
But I don't want you to grow. Ruse, when you make that song that makes me go ballistic ape shit,
just stop there.
About skateboards and I forgot what the other topic was.
Just stop.
But when you do that, not just stop, but when you do that and then you come out with the next Lil Wayne.
Yeah.
Bro, remember the run he had? Mixtape Wheezy?
Yep.
All right, and then what did he do?
Rock album.
And what did we do?
Whoa!
If you don't get this dog shit right, and he ain't been right ever since. I think the new Carter just dropped, and I'm not gonna say nothing about you, Wheezy, because I love you, and you held me down for like 5 summers in a row. I made money off your mixtapes, by the way, in Manhattan, Kansas. Shout out Manhattan, Kansas. I was selling all kinds of shit out of my trunk. But anyway, when we you know, they say it for actors too, right? What's it called? You typecast.
Yeah.
We get typecast, bro.
Comedians get typecast.
As human beings, I typecast.
Yeah.
I do that.
We all do.
I want Mike Tyson to be mean. I don't want him to box. I want him to go in there, throw hands, slug it out. Are you telling me you're establishing your jab, Mike Tyson? If you don't get out of my face. I want George Clooney to be the cool guy. I don't want him to see him doing Jim Carrey stuff. None of that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see. There's people from your generation and maybe a little bit younger that think Ice Cube is a family man actor.
Right. Yeah.
No, he's not.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Like, it's that you get typecast, and I only have my life to live. So on Mike Knight's timeline, I have everybody encapsulated in that moment that they made me recognize them. And when they change, it's going to be very difficult for me to go along because Wu-Tang, or pick another artist from my high school, when I listen to those songs, I'm not listening necessarily to the words, the lyrics, what they're talking. I'm feeling the vibes of what was happening back there. Sad songs, love songs. You're remembering the person that you were with when those songs were made concrete in your brain. And so when, you know, pick an artist comes out with their new love songs and now their love songs aren't sad anymore, they're happy, you're like, ew, Adele. Why aren't you sad anymore? I don't want you to change. I've typecast you into white girl with the black soul sister voice that sings about sad shit. Go roll in the fucking deep, dickhead. Didn't nobody tell you to get married and have kids?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of the curse of, I think, being a long-term musician, is you're going to grow and evolve, and everybody already typecasted you as soon as they liked your music. So no matter what, you're kind of fucked. There's no path to the prosperous land. Rick Beatty, I want to say that's who it is, on YouTube. He had this theory. He made a whole video about it where it's about like 25 to 30 is where musicians just tend to stop being as successful. There seems to be this common theme where like up to 30 musicians are really creative, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and then right after that you see this shift where it doesn't really happen like that anymore.
What's the number in between 25 and 30 mathematically?
27. Guess how old I am, guys.
Whoa, watch out. Yeah.
But I mean, it is like there's people who break that rule, of course, but that is definitely a solid theory. I mean, and I think it's a very hard thing because, I mean, one person I think I always like to, Lil Wayne's a good one. Eminem, I think, is a really good one because I think a lot of people, Eminem is so talented, and he's never ever not been talented, but where he is now, he's not in the same type of conversation as he was 15, 20 years ago. Eminem in the late 90s was the GOAT, the best. And now he's just kind of, Eminem drops, oh, okay, Eminem dropped. It's not like the GOAT drop. Now that's Kendrick. I think Kendrick has taken over. And there's always usually been at least one guy on top of the game with rap. But Eminem was undeniably him before it was Lil Wayne.
There was a point in time.
Shout out 50 Cent, by the way.
Shout out 50. But there was a point in time where Eminem was making music for you to feel, and now he's making music for you to listen to.
Yes.
Because he's too old for anybody to feel what the fuck he's talking. Young people can't identify with a 50-year-old man rapping about how much he doesn't like his mom. That's just fucking weird.
Yeah.
And I'm too old to listen to him talk about his feelings either. So now, instead of, I hate my baby mom, I do a lot of drugs, my mother makes me sick to my stomach. Now he's just hippity hoppity flippity floppity spiritual lyrical miracle individual.
Well, and remember what I said? I don't know if it's how you cut this thing, but at the very top of this podcast.
Oh, no cuts.
No cuts. Well, I think at the very top of the podcast, then what I had said was that whole thing about feeling with gore porn. I think that Eminem was riding that wave perfectly when he was doing that in the 90s. He was doing an intellectual thing that was smart, but it was also so visceral and raw that it was kind of pleasing everybody. And then now he's swung the other way, where it's no longer that visceral Eminem, to the gut, like everything he says, you're like, whoa, I can't believe Eminem went there. I can't even believe he's doing that.
Yeah.
And even when he tries to do that now, it almost feels a little bit contrived, like he's trying to do what he used to do.
Yeah.
Not to say, I think his latest album, the Death of Slim Shady, I think that was a solid project, but I still think, because I had always thought before that came out, if he does another album where he does the Slim Shady thing, but kind of on like a trap-like album, I think that's where, that's the pocket he needs to be in.
Yeah.
And that song he did with JID, the trap song, that's like one of the top songs off that album. People loved it. I think I was onto something.
Yeah.
But it's just that he started to, like you just described, he over intellectualized his music, and it becomes this thing where it's like everything is such a think piece, everything is such like a it's like if you had a theater kid write everything. Like they're gonna overthink everything. At a certain point, you just need somebody who's gonna hang back, and that's why the masters are the masters. Because not saying Eminem's not a master of his craft, but Eminem in the '90s was a master of his craft.
I'm gonna be able to feel.
Trying so hard not to talk shit about Eminem. I love Eminem.
Yeah. Just in case you see this, Eminem, I love your discography and everything you brought to the table, Marshall Mathers. But here's the thing: the reason I'm gonna identify with the theater kid in that scenario more than I'll identify with Eminem, and I mean today, is because the theater kid is closer to mine, and I'm going to assume your tax bracket. Eminem has been a highly successful, highly paid person longer than he's not been.
Right.
So when he first came out, I remember exactly where I was. I was in class. I was in high school the first time I heard Eminem, and he said, "Hi kids, do you like violence? Do you want to see me stick 9-inch nails through each one of my eyelids? Try sit and get fucked up worse than my life is." Now that was that was literally the first thing I ever heard from him on "Hi, my name is." So he started up, "Hi kids, do you like violence? Gore porn." That's a hook. I'm immediately listening to this weird voice say this weird shit on a banging ass Dr. Dre beat, and he starts with immediately grabbing my attention. "Hi kids, do you like violence?" Right? And then what does he end his first stanza with? "Try Sid and get fucked up worse than my life is." He connected you. He grounded you in that first 4 bars to, "Hey, I did this to grab your attention. And by the way, my life is a fucking wreck, dude." Now, you can't really say that when you've been living in 28 acres in a 50 bedroom, 30 bathroom house for the last 30 years, basically, bro. You can't. He's not connected to us anymore. Comedians run into the same situation as well. You take Kevin Hart. I go down, this is no slander on Kevin Hart. I love this brother. And what he does as a whole, the fact that he's in industry right now is amazing to me, right? I go down, I used to have a barber, before I started growing out my hair, I used to have my barbershop was off 47 Indiana. Shout out Low End. And I would go in there, and in my barbershop, they had a picture on the wall of all the greatest black comedians, right? It had Bernie Mac, it had Joe Torre, it had Bill Bellamy. Kevin. And my point is, Kevin Hart wasn't on it, right? And when I looked at it, used to maybe Cat Williams on it, of course. When I looked at that, I was like, now why is that, right? Because Kevin Hart's an industry. He is putting food on the table and money in the pockets of a lot of people, not just black people, not just young, not just old, a lot of people. There's people I know in the comedy game in Chicago right now that he put food on their table for their family to eat, right? But you go to this barbershop, where the culture is dictated in a black barbershop, and he's not on that. And why? Because he stopped being, "Hi kids, do you like violence?" a long time ago, and now he's hippity hoppity rippity rappity, right? Because he's already combed every corner of his soul and his mind and his memories for every everyman story that me and you can identify with.
Rock Bottom's such a good song. Rock Bottom's peak Eminem right there. Oh,
fair
man.
enough, but we
like
can't
the
identify,
everyman story Eminem, because you're right. Yeah, you just can't make that. I mean, it's why you see comics that they'll get big and their stories change, right? Like when a comics is touring comic, you're making jokes about your life, and that's just a common like thing you'll hear is like, oh, now comedians are complaining about what it's like to fly first class. Like that's the story.
You're not gonna identify
but that wasn't
with
the
that.
story when you were the struggling comic who was the story was, oh, I took the train here and guess what
That's why
happened.
you like the new guy.
Yeah.
You know who did that smart? Floyd Mayweather.
Ah, really?
He started off Money Mayweather. Everybody's like, why doesn't Floyd throw his hands? Why is he's just defensive. He just does his Philly shell and do and just talk shit. He started off as Money Mayweather, and Pretty Boy Floyd, excuse me. He started off as Pretty Boy Floyd. He used to throw his hands constantly. Go back, if you look up Pretty Boy Floyd, you just see him standing in the phone booth banging with folks, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then he got to a certain place and he was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to do the same thing The Rock did. I'm going to be the bad guy. And he flipped his story because he knew that us as human beings were tired of seeing you win. And eventually we were either going to pull him down, and he was like, nah, I'm going to cut you off. I'm going to turn heel, and I'm going to start making fun of Mexicans on Cinco de Mayo for my fight against Oscar de la Hoya. And he wasn't making fun of him, but he came out with a big sombrero. He had his boxing shorts was the Mexican flag, and he was at salsa dancing and talking crazy. You know what I mean? Yeah. So he said, all right, I was a lightning rod as a baby face. Now I'm going to be the lightning rod as a heel.
And he did it well. He played it to a T.
50-0.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just playing the heel in real life is really, I think it's the Kaufman-esque thing. I think in comedy you can observe a lot of people who think they're Andy Kaufman.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah. Well, and Sacha Baron Cohen is doing it pretty well too. Yeah. Well, what I'm referring to is like you'll see people at open mics who like think they're doing the Kaufman thing, but really they're just annoying everybody. You see that like, and people don't realize like I don't even think you can do the Kaufman thing unless you're just brilliant. You have to be so good and it's like one person in a million type of, like Sacha Baron Cohen. He's doing something that most people can't really. Nathan Fielder, I think, is doing that. Okay. Matan Evan, if you're familiar with that guy on YouTube, he's interviewing so many big comics, and he's basically
Matan's
trolling
like that
them.
little. I don't know what culture he is, but he plays real straight face. Real obnoxious.
You know. You know what I'm talking about. And he's getting like the biggest guests. He's gotten politicians on his show. It's just ridiculous what's happening.
But he's charming. You cannot do that and not be charming, because there was that other girl. So there was Funny Marcos or something like that.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then that white chick came along. I forget her name. That's why you're white chick.
Bobby.
There you go.
Bobby.
And you know what was wrong with her? She wasn't charming. Don't say her last name. She doesn't deserve it.
Okay.
She wasn't charming. If you're going to be a dick, you still have to be charming, or we're not going to be able to digest it. You can't just feed me medicine. You got to make it taste like cherries.
Right.
That's why Diamond Tap is still a thing.
Well, it'd be like if I made a song and the song got popular, but I wasn't being myself on the song, and then I had to do that same song 10 times. Because eventually we're gonna realize you're not being yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think it was just like, she doesn't really consider herself a comedian. Because what her podcast is now, she's still doing it, but what it is now is it's kind of just like a regular interview, which is probably what she should have just did from the start. But like I said, she got popular off of doing a mean interview. And also, I think her first episode was Rick Glassman. I don't know how closely you follow his podcast. He's very tongue-in-cheek, so I think she was inspired by him, and she was trying to do the meta comedy thing that I'm describing. There is a certain art to it. I even think there's people in the Chicago comedy scene who are doing that. You'll hear people have this conversation where it's like, "Do you think so and so is actually like that?" and they're not. Like some of them, I'm pretty sure are not like that, but they're playing a character. And I think there's something ahead of its time about that. But if you don't pull it off, if you do this thing that Bobby did, this girl, then it becomes now you're in this awkward position where she did it to this crazy extent. Mark Cuban on her podcast on like the 3rd episode, just crazy guests because she's got managers. That's the other thing is like she was saying on the podcast, "Oh, it just happened out of nowhere. I don't know how this happened." Oh, fucking all these industry plant people say.
Do you think industry plants are do you think industry plants are a real thing? And if you do you think they're new? Do you think industry plants have been around since 1930? Do you think they, since music, there's been industry plants? Or
yes,
or
I think they're real, and I think they've always been around. Yeah, I think it's real always wins in the end, as we've been saying. So I think like reality comes through, but I think you can pump money and advertising behind any mediocrity. You can, and I mean like there's so much proof of such a thing. I mean, these people who get so popular, why is it always this template? Why is it always this weird template? And now you have, again with AI, these companies are starting to invest in that. So we'll see where that goes in the next year after this comes out.
Speaking of the AI, YouTube, I believe it was either today or yesterday. It's been sometime in the last couple of days. They just came out with a new policy. If you have a no-face AI generated video on YouTube, as in there's no human face present and no human voice present, you cannot monetize.
That's fair, because I mean there's all these channels now who are like news channels, and it's just mass created content like that.
Well, there's so many. I see it all the time now where you're watching a thing and you're hearing the speaker, the narrator in the background while you're getting your update on whatever it is, and you'll hear the narrator pronounce something wrong. Like it sounds so authentically real voice, and then they go Himalaya, and it's like, wait, did you just say Himalaya like that? What are you who is this guy?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And it's like oh, it's AI. But YouTube, which oddly enough, that almost seems counterproductive for a big brand. I mean, it's ABC, who owns Google and everything like that. So I'm pretty sure that they have enough money to keep the lights on. But it seems counterintuitive for them to but I love that they're doing it, because that is one more stake in the ground for human beings being able to create content, because you're not going to be able to beat something that doesn't sleep, eat, breathe.
Yeah. Well, and I think that you said earlier, you described it pretty well, where it's like, it's not, I mean, it becomes this question of like, what are you? Are you this amalgamation of ones and zeros that just goes to this crazy exponential number that you could probably identify, that you could probably define if you were smart enough? Maybe that's true. But like, it's clear, at least at this point, that your AI is a matter of prompting. AI is a matter of leaning it in the right direction, and you're just kind of you have this mass pool of data that you're just trying to push in the right direction. It's like if we were all talking to the same one person. It's one personality, and that's not how people are. We all are so different than each other. Like I think that's the true thing that happens with art and with exploration and with all of this. It's the human experience of like there's so much outside of me that I have yet to find. And, I think that an AI could, if you placed it inside of a robot and then it communicated with a different AI, maybe then it would experience something like that.
But how are you different? How are you not a large language model? Everything we're saying back and forth to each other are just sounds.
Yeah.
That we agree on the definition of.
But what I'm saying
otherwise, bro, you didn't make a single one of the words you've said so far.
No, and I'm agreeing with that.
These are all just what was fed to you.
Yeah.
And then you put them together. Otherwise, you can express yourself and your emotions, but if I took all your words away, if you never got taught these words, could you even define your emotion? Would you still feel the same emotions? Because your emotions are dictated sometimes by what people say to you.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the ability to be spoken to or to speak, then how are your emotions dictated? Are you even going to feel the same things? How are we different right now, me and you, than these large language models, outside of the fact that I can generate my own questions to myself and hold a conversation with myself, but these words aren't mine. somebody taught them to me, and I understand that these sounds mean what we both agree on. But take it to another language. Another quote that I heard: Speak to a man in a language he knows, and you'll know the man. Speak to a man in a language that his mother speaks, and you'll know his soul. How many? If you've ever talked to a person that speaks another language, and you're like, what does this mean? And they go, man, I can't really explain it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it means kind of this, but there's no translation for your thing and a thing. And it's like, holy shit, you have a whole emotion, context, and expression that I don't have access to because I don't speak your language. I can even learn your language, but I didn't grow up. So I'll never completely understand and grasp what the feeling is of this word that you have access to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's sort of what I mean, too, is like, I think that if we are all this amalgamation of data, we're this AI, then that's exactly the difference between an AI and us. I don't think when an AI communicates with another AI or an AI communicates with a human, it's in the process of collaboration in the same way that we are when we communicate with one another. I think there's just purely something that's different. Like the fact that you and I are sitting here right now and we're physical beings that experience reality. We both have the mutual assurance that you experience reality pretty similarly to how I experience
If you
it.
exist. Because I can't prove it.
That's true. You might not exist. You might be a figment of my imagination.
That is 100%
I might be in my
correct.
apartment right now.
Right. Which sounds crazy to me because I know I exist. I just can't prove that you exist, which means I don't know if I exist to you.
Isn't it crazy to think, like, what if you were the side character in someone else's reality? Like, you aren't the main character and they're actually the simulation? Someone once asked me, if you were to pick, like, who do you think the main character of the simulation would be? Like, if you had to guess, of all the people you see, who do you think the main character would be of the simulation? Do you have an answer to that question? It's a tough one.
It's Virgil.
Why is that? Why do you say that?
You've never seen The Usual Suspects?
No.
Never?
No.
Kevin Spacey.
I know it's the late 90s.
One of his. Don't say that with such disdain in the late 90s. Some of, if not the greatest times, especially in your profession, as far as
I love the late
rap music.
I didn't mean to say it in such a way.
Virgil was Kevin Spacey's character. So long or the short, it's a heist movie, and you get this pack of. There's like 5 or 6 outlaws, and they all get pulled into a station, lined up. They're the usual suspects, and all of a sudden, come to find out, they all got popped for like shoplifting and some little dingly charges just to get them all in jail, so that some guy can come and say, "Hey, I got a big job for you," right? Then, fast forward through the movie, all the guys end up getting knocked off. They just keep getting murdered, and the weakest person out of that entire group ended up being the main character that everybody spent the whole movie trying to find. There was a lot of spoilers, although I think I did a good job not over spoiling, because it's a super duper classic. You're probably never gonna watch it. But,
Edward Norton's in that movie too, right?
No. I think you're thinking like Cape Fear or something like that. But no. It's Kevin Spacey.
I think of the usual Suspects.
One of the Baldwin
French
brothers
Connection.
is in it. And then the guy that wrote and directed A Bronx Tale. I can't remember his name right now. But no, it was Kaiser Sose. Everybody spends the whole movie looking for Kaiser Sose, which is the kingpin of all kingpins. And come to find out, Virgil, who was playing a cripple the whole time and being interrogated by the police officer, whole time he was a cripple, he ended up being Kaiser Sose. But he spent the entire movie making me and you think he was just a cripple that was snitching on everybody. But typically the main character isn't that's what people say it, although you get a feeling and you're like, all right, so they say Elon Musk is the richest person in the world, right?
Right.
Really? I think the richest person in the world has so much money that he made sure me and you don't know his name.
Yeah.
Because the loudest person in the room is usually one of the weakest people in the room, if not the weakest. And to go out there and say, I'm the richest man, there's somebody over there with triple Elon's money laughing his ass off quietly in whatever country he's in.
Yeah, well, and I'm sure that influence and money, those go hand in hand. But also, I think that at a certain point, influence is more important than money. Like, what is it that BlackRock and this other company? How much of everything do they own?
Vanguard.
Like, 90%.
State Street.
It's and like everything any company does like ends up benefiting them anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, those are the people who own everything. Those are the richest people in the world. If it's anybody, it's them.
But they never changed.
Yeah.
Those names, Vanguard. I mean that comes from like the Carnegies and the Edisons, and those times those got passed down.
Right.
I mean, Jamie Dimon. You want to talk about the people with the most power and influence? Chase Bank is the CEO is Jamie Dimon. ABC, it's that Indian brother, I forget his name, but we don't care to know these names. We just live our lives and complain about the ATM not working. But who's asking Jamie Dimon about the? I mean, Jerome Powell. I don't really hear his name come up in conversations all that much. But he's the Fed chair, and he's the one that dictates our inflation rates.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, we don't care as a whole. We like our drama at our level, and that's not in my tax bracket to really be concerned, because the stock market has been that that's the reason that they made it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, but it is influential, and it's our.
Well, I think it's how you get to where we are now, because now the scales are tipped so crazily where if you it's impossible to care about such a thing. Like if I'm the type of person who's focused on my own survival, which is most of us all the time, then how am I going to know the inner workings of the triangle of people that run the world?
Sure.
Who has time for that? And then if you actually do, like, it's one of those things too, the smarter you are, the more you learn, the crazier you realize. Yeah, the less you know, and also the crazier you realize reality actually is. Like, it is, as you sound crazy when you try to describe the actual reality to people, because I think that's by design, and so, and like you said, the more you know, the less you know, the more mysteries start to pop up and thing. And I think that's
fascinating.
It's fascinating, and it's the infinity of learning that's always there, but also it's just it's dude.
So who's the
scary.
Who's the main character? Who's the main character? Who's the main character at Christmas time?
Santa Claus.
But who's the most influential? If you're lucky enough, it's the dad that went out for 40 hours a week to get the money to actually buy your presents.
Yes.
So usually the person that's the main character isn't the one that's actually pulling the strings.
Yeah, right. Santa
or sliding down the chimney.
The Wizard of Oz is not the Wizard of Oz, folks.
Nah, hell nah. This has been tremendous. Do me a favor, Ruse.
Oh, can I say? I remembered something I said earlier.
Please.
I said I was going to remember the oldest story of all time.
Oldest story of all time, yes.
I didn't want to leave that hanging.
Memory on this guy. Go ahead.
The Epic of Gilgamesh. That's what the oldest story of all time is, and it's you said there's 5 stories that we all tell. That's the first one, flood story, comes from the Epic of Gilgamesh. I mean, I think the story of Troy, like that whole battle, Epic of Gilgamesh. I want to say, it might be wrong about that.
And that was the one with the dude that had to shoot the bow and arrow through the axes and take the drink out of the big goblet, and it was really the ocean. And he was like, "You only drink like an inch, bro. You suck." And then come to find out, he was like, "Low key, you were trying to drink the entire ocean." I was just fucking with you.
Back when stories were good, when everything made sense.
But that's what I mean. We're living in the times, so we don't romanticize the times we're actually living in. We romanticize Zeus and all those people, but that's what Batman and Superman and X-Men are to us. And actually, I probably talked about it on this show before. Professor Jack Kirby, I want to give a shout out and praise to Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. I used to shoplift comic books. That's how I got into collecting them, and now I collect them legitimately. But starting out, but a lot of those stories.
We must have passed the statute of limitations.
I hope so. Jack Kirby and Stan Lee were creating black characters decades before this, woke culture, decades before cell phones, decades before you can get likes and a pat on the back. Good job for catering to these other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In 1961, they're coming up with characters like Nick Cage, Like the new Anthony Mackie's playing the new Captain America. What's his name? Hawk or whatever his
I'm not
goofy
Hawkeye.
name is.
No, because Hawkeye's the other
Something
one.
like that. Something like that. And Black Panther. They were doing these back in the day out of genuine. Like, bro, we're the only ones making these comics, and there's no representation for the black folks. Let's give them something to look up to. And then these two white guys sit down and drew. Back when it was not good to do it, the original Star Trek, Captain Kirk and the producers of that show had Captain Kirk kiss O'Hara, the black actor. It's the first on-screen interracial kiss with a black person or any person of color at that time. And they did it back before it was a popular thing to do. Back before anybody could force them to do it. They were doing it because those particular people at that time were doing it because it was the right thing to do. I disagree with what they do now when they change characters because there's an agenda behind it, if you ask me. They're not doing it out of the kindness of their hearts. They're not doing what Jack Kirby. They're not doing what Stan Lee. They're not doing what these other people did.
Silver Surfer. Time. We're talking about you, Silver Surfer.
Straight up, Silver Surfer. Even though I think,
and then you'll have those nerds go, "Oh no, it was in one issue, one time, so it's actually canon." No, and you're so spot on because it's the intention that matters. Those guys, their intention was pure.
Because you look in the boardroom, it's still just a bunch of white dudes, which it is what it is. You know what I mean? But I appreciate that they were doing those things at that time and telling those stories and those narratives. And what were you getting on about earlier? You remember in the stories of like Gilgamesh and all those things? Like those stories now, those are our Greek mythology.
Are you familiar with Joseph Campbell at all?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
Oh, dude, you should read his book.
Joseph Campbell. He played. He was Night of the Living Dead.
Maybe I'm mixing up names. Maybe there's two Joseph Campbells because the person I'm referring to, he wrote a book called A Man of a Thousand Faces. Excuse me. And I found out about it when I was reading about Greek mythology. Yeah. And he's basically, the whole book is laying that out, exactly what you just said. And I think it speaks to just reality in general. We all think mythologically, and that's the way we should look at Greek mythology, is exactly that it's not this, it's so silly that we could believe such a thing. Can you believe we were saying that all these gods controlled everything? It's like our brains just so happen to have that architecture to believe in such a thing. Yeah. And that's what UFOs, I think, are now. That's what superheroes are now. Yeah. That's what movies are. You're kind of elevating this movie into this other. I think that's celebrity culture. People look at celebrities kind of like gods, kind of like these things beyond us.
Well, narcissism is a very, very hashtagable word these days. People throw it around, and there's a lot of shout
out Greek mythology, Narcissus.
Sure. Narcissus.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Echo.
Yes. Oh, Echo. That's such a cool one because, I mean, some of those stories are so simple. Like those two stories, they're just a simple metaphor, but it just lays it out beautifully. Yeah.
Absolutely. There's been a tremendous conversation. We didn't even really dive into your music. So, I mean, you can spit bars if you want to, or you can just tell the people how they can find your music. All right, if you're gonna spit bars, you spit bars. You're not gonna play one of the songs from your phone.
No, but I'm gonna pull up something I can spit for you. Something recent. I think there's something I wrote just the other day, so I'll pull that up. Because I was I was thinking beforehand, because it's a new trick I like to do. Okay. If I had thought of it before 2 hours before, I would have wrote a rap.
Brand new. Got you.
Well, yeah, because I like to do that. Like one thing I'll do at these, I did it at this last comedy show where I realized last minute, I should do this, and so I'll write. Because this is what I was doing at Roast Battle. Roast Battle, I was writing the first half and the second half's a freestyle. But really the fun trick is to freestyle stuff that people said. So what a fun thing to do at a comedy show is to, one, just bullet point everything everybody's saying. Or I could, while they're talking, come up with the rap and write it line for line. So that way, by the time I get on stage, it's already written. That's a little bit harder.
You're taking the magic out of it, man. Go ahead and give me a 16, bro.
All right. Well, fun thing being, what I was going to say is I should have wrote a rap just for this show. That would have been really fun. It would have been a fun gag.
The real rap didn't have a rap.
I know. That's literally what I thought. It was an hour before I was going to leave. I was like, real rap podcast. Am I an idiot? I should have wrote. Because I was thinking of a punchline like, we back, got that real rap pot. Like I was already setting it up in my mind, and then I was like, I don't have any time to actually do it. All right, so let's pull up this one right here. You know what? This one I haven't rapped in a long time. I'll just stop right when it gets to the hook. This one I used to do I wrote this back in 2016. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. And like it was one of those ones where if you get people to go boom, boom, clap, boom, boom, clap, you can just go. Yeah, I don't know if it'll be on the camera or on the mic. Yo, hey. Oh, kid, you can't go wrong. I see the passion you can't deep when you dance along. I write the passage, a man to speak. When the hands in palm together, we can defeat whatever the demons spawn. Oh, kid, you can't go wrong. No, kid, you can't go wrong. You write the speeches, we can't repeat the deepest psalms. You write with Jesus, you light his leak and you keep it calm. Baby, can you feel it? Cause I feel it like the weed is strong. Embrace the spirit. It is Ruse writing the realest wrong. Still writing to excite my views. Found light and inside the dawn. Sound like a thunderous boom. I bang out like a gong. I'm the one you would assume would never fucking do this song. I'll need a little room, a little one, an ounce of inspiration to pound in a sad Stimpleton. So now I get it done before I did it later. But now I'm fit to run, quick coming for something greater. See, now I get it done before I did it later. Before I would it run, now I'm sprinting like a racer, forgetting my eraser. Routed, my mind is greater than focus. I'm mind a hocus pocus, I decline to chase her. The moment mind a taker, I'm bogus, I find a faker. I'm overdosing on dopamine, I'm high off nature. I'm local, bro, don't be close to me. Known to be crazy, why ain't we supposed to be? Oh, this my state of mind, I'm making it close to me. Paving my way to this status, maybe you notice me. Maybe you know it's me. Maybe you dancing to a completely different jam when I speak and hear the proof. I'm right here, you doof. I heard you spouting off. I'm too deep. When I scream, baby, I'm shouting soft. The wait until I talk, so patient than I thought. Oh, what a day to be alive. I'm praising to God.
Yeah. Real Rap Podcast. Your host, Mike Knight. I'm with Ruse, a.k.a. Ruse Radio, a.k.a. First Bars Dropped on Real Rap. Tell the people how they can find you, bro.
The people can find me, Ruse Radio, greatest podcast of all time. I'll say that wherever I go. I'll say it on any podcast. I don't care what they have to say. I'll fight for the title. Well, I'll fight for the championship belt.
We go.
So yeah, you can check that out on all streaming services. It's on YouTube is the video form. We got Ruse Radio clips going hard right now. Also, you can find me on Instagram, Ruse Official, Ruse Radio on Instagram, Ruse Radio on all streaming platforms. Did I say that? Also, my music out on all streaming platforms, Ruse. My latest song after this comes out, next one coming out is called I Am. Just had a song drop with the buddy Tim. Oh, I Am. Got boy Nikki Darko. Song I just dropped with Tim Perez. The Homeboys. Love those guys. Friends of Ruse Radio. And then what Mr. Whole Time, I think the best song I've ever written. So those songs you can find on YouTube, streaming services. Just type in Ruse and then the name of the songs. I'm dropping shit all the fucking time. One of the busiest people you'll ever see. And the reason I do that is for you guys. I don't do it for me. I do it because I want people to see that. I want you to know I am just a normal person. I am just as flawed as every single person that's watching this. And I think that every single person is a professional mind blower. It's just a matter of how you blow minds. People are capable of greatness. And I think it's just a matter of pushing that button. So
and look, guys, I promise we did not coordinate both wearing our merch with our QR code today. It just so happened. And shout out to Ruse one more time for coming. It was a tremendous conversation. I felt like we were both on like 3 tabs of Addy. I haven't talked that fast. But that was 4 episodes crammed into one. But it was a tremendous conversation, man. I appreciate you for sliding. And I'm Mike Knight, your host. Again,